Now, podcasting around the world, this is Zero Context.
Alrighty. Okay, welcome back everyone. We're here with Anna from Wellness at Wilston. And I met you, I think it was like a few months into the whole COVID thing, and you've got a bit of a business here called Wellness at Wilston, which is pretty great.
Yep.
And you have a bunch of wellness modalities, is that how you say it?
Correct, yep.
So tell us about exactly like what you have here. So obviously you've got the cryo chamber, like what else do you have here?
Yeah, so cryotherapy, we freeze the body minus 150 degrees for 3 minutes. That's all about pain and inflammation, building up more collagen and elastin in the skin. Great for those with arthritis and any of those sort of conditions. Really good for recovery after you've been at the gym if your muscles are really sore. So generally speaking, when people get in the chamber, I get them to do a scan of their body to see how they're feeling. And everybody that comes out, doesn't matter what pain they've got, whether it's chronic pain or just muscle pain from the gym. They come out of the chamber and they just feel so alive. You get this feeling of euphoria because it's basically oxygenated blood rushing back to the extremities and you get this feeling of euphoria. So you just feel so alive. And then I get them to scan their body again and they've got literally no pain. So
wow. How do you scan the body, just out of curiosity?
Just scan it like with your mind's eye. So scanning, I mean, you can feel pain in your body. So if you just take your mind's eye and think about scanning through the body and feel, okay, that my elbow's a little bit sore, or my knees are a bit sore, or my muscles, I've done leg day and my, quads are sore or whatever. And just scan through that and see how it feels. And then when people get out, they're like, whew, they just like feel alive and feel amazing. Really good for hangovers.
Yeah.
So literally hangover gone in 3 minutes.
Wow, really? That quick?
Yeah, absolutely. So so that's a really amazing treatment. Then we've got lymphatic compression therapy on ion technology. So that's all about pushing out lactic acid in the body, oxygenating all the cells, tissues and muscles, but you're also on the ion technology mat, which is putting negative charge into the cells. So think about all of this technology, it's all a positive charge, and that's not optimal for our cell health. So basically what this is doing is putting a negative charge back into the cells. So if you think about a free radical cell, it's a broken cell. So what the negative charge comes in and comes back and heals and seals that cell. So generally speaking, the treatment takes you from fight or flight and puts you back into rest and digest. So a lot of people fall asleep on that treatment. It's very relaxing. It's probably our most relaxing treatment in the clinic.
Oh, wow, okay.
So really good. Then we've got Colonics, so colon hydrotherapy. So basically Colonics is all about cleaning out your colon.
Yep.
So so that's basically, well, when I was very sick, so I was sick for a long time, as you know, 8.5 years, and I found Colonics and infrared sauna, and hence why Wellness at Wilston was born, because all of the modalities in my clinic are treatments that I use to get myself better.
That's beautiful, yeah, because that was what I was going to say, because I actually didn't know you had health issues, because you posted on a story the other day, I think it was, and you spoke about that you had health issues in the past, and that's why you created it. Yeah. I had no idea that was the case. Yeah, did you want to touch on anything about what it was at all?
Yeah, so I co-authored a book called The Women Changing the World, and it's got my story in there. And basically it was 8.5 years of chronic illness, going to every doctor, every specialist, and just, getting to a point where I had no hope. The doctor basically said, you've got depression. I went on antidepressants for 10 weeks. It was actually the worst time of my whole journey. I didn't feel sad, I didn't feel happy, I just felt like I was existing, but it was a really uneasy feeling for me. I really didn't enjoy it. So I weaned off those drugs, and it was probably the most horrific time for me, weaning off them, because I just wanted to take the pill. It was, and like I was so addicted after only 10 weeks, it was mind-blowing for me. So obviously co-authored that book with my story. That book's now got its own global award.
Yeah, you were telling me this last time. That's great. That's
cool.
amazing.
It's
that's
got
awesome.
a life of its own. So it was award-winning in Amazon, best-selling Amazon. Also, it's got its own book awards. We were in Marie Claire not long ago We're also gifted to all the Oscar nominees that year that it was launched.
Yes, that's cool. I thought that was really
so
sick.
cool.
'Cause did you say they came in like little, and they came in bags that you gifted out? Yeah.
Yeah, the gift bags because when they're a nominee at the Oscars, they all get a gift bag. So our book was in
That's
there.
incredible.
So
That's pretty cool.
I thought that was so cool.
Yeah.
So basically, 8.5 years of chronic illness, going to see everybody, couldn't get any help. Booked a colonic and an infrared sauna one day on a Groupon voucher of all places. I didn't even have Groupon, but it come up on Facebook.
Yep.
And I thought, oh, what's that? And just intuitively, I thought I need to go and do that. And it was like $49 or something. It was cheap.
Yep.
So booked in, and literally it was life changing. That one colonic, and then once I got out of there, I was like, oh my God, I can just feel a massive difference in my body.
Yep.
And then went into the sauna and just felt super relaxed and super calm.
And this was infrared sauna or just not?
Infrared. Yep. Yeah. And so from then I was like, wow, what just happened?
Yeah. That's what I was going to ask. So like you had the issues, but like what was the actual treatment that actually fixes? That's really incredible.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
So colonics was basically what really was life changing for me, and the sauna's good too, because what I now know is that I was detoxing our two largest elimination organs. So our skin is our largest elimination organ, and the colon is the second largest elimination organ. So if your skin's blocked and the toxins aren't getting out, you're not sweating them out. Or if your colon's blocked, if you're not pooping 3 times a day, 2 or 3 times a day, then, you're going to have toxicity in the body, and that reflects in the body as pain, inflammation, mental health issues, all that sort of stuff, bloating, skin conditions, acne, psoriasis, eczema.
So there's a lot, yeah. Wow.
There's a lot, yeah, absolutely. Okay. So I just kept saying to the doctor, I just can't go to the toilet. Like I wasn't going to the toilet for 2 weeks at a time. And I just had massive migraines, and he just wasn't, he was a lovely man and he really tried to help me, but no one could really help me, So they just kept telling me to have Movicol, get more Movicol. It just wasn't working for me.
Okay.
So, and in the clinic now, I get so many clients who just say Movicol doesn't work, and I'm like, I know, I was there. I'm hearing you.
Wow. Okay.
So yeah, that's probably the story of wellness at Wilston and how it come about to the award-winning clinic that we are today.
No, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. And what do you think is the most popular treatment that you have? Colonics. Yeah. Okay.
By far.
And why is that, do you think?
Just because it's so life-changing.
Yep.
Everybody can benefit from a colonic. Everybody feels better from a colonic. One, due to you actually hydrating at a cellular level, because it goes up in the portal vein. So you actually hydrate immediately at a cellular level. And also, most people are full of shit, right?
Yeah.
Pardon the pun, but
no, that's okay. No, we swear on this all the time. It's great.
Yeah. So just by getting rid of some toxicity and some stool that's been sitting in there that shouldn't be in there for that long, because we really should be eating, assimilating the nutrients out of our food and then getting rid of it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like a well-oiled machine. So if you think about a baby, what do? They eat, shit and sleep.
Yeah.
And we're the same, but our livers and everything gets so toxified and burdened because we've got environmental toxicity. 2, we've got, the air quality in your home and in your office and whatever. A lot of people use fake fragrances and stuff like that. The liver's got to process all of those chemicals.
Yeah.
Then you think about our food, it's all sprayed,
It's chemicals and toxins everywhere, essentially.
Everywhere. So what you're putting on your skin, what you're brushing your teeth with, like if you think about all of it, the poor liver is burdened.
Yep.
And so if you think to our grandparents, most of them lived on a farm, or they didn't have the toxicity that we have now, So if you think about our grandparents, they didn't have the toxicity that we have in our lives now. So our poor liver's burdened with trying to process all of these toxins. So it's like everything has to flow. And so if the colon's backed up, the liver's backed up. If the liver's backed up, the lymphatic system's backed up. So what happens in a colonic is you're cleaning that out. If you do a bowel reset, which means 3 to 4 in a 1 to 2 week period, because what's happening effectively in colonics is you're softening and releasing. So it's not like you can just come in and clean the whole organ out. It's quite long. So if you take it out of the body, it's about 2 meters
I've heard
long.
That,
yeah. So basically, you have a series of colonics, so you need 3 to 4 in a 1 to 2 week period, and that's when you'll get to a stage called bowel reset. So it means the liver's dumped its waste, the lymphatic system's dumped, the kidneys dumped, everything's dumped its waste. So it's basically, the first one is like unplugging it. So it's like breaking it through the plug. And then we soften generally in the first one. The real magic happens in 2, 3 and 4. And then sometimes you might need 5 or 6, depending on the constipation level of the client.
So once they have, like, let's say, like, a normal treatment is 3, like, what's
3
the
to 4, really.
Yeah, so what's the process after that? Do you say, hey, come back in 3 months, 6 months? What's the typical conversation there?
It really depends on their health, and it depends on what they're trying to treat. So if they've had glandular fever, which most people have had, and they've got a really bad imbalance of microbiome in their small intestine, we might suggest them to do a SIBO cleanse. If they're presenting with parasites, itchy anus, or different sort of parasitic like activity in the small intestine, or if they've got a candida overgrowth, which is a fungus, or whatever, heavy metal, whatever they present with, we can sort of talk about what program that they're best on to go in with the oral sort of program. And then it's about repopulating that organ to put some good bacteria back in and feed it to encourage it to set back up a new colony.
Wow. Okay.
So in colonics, we're talking about the large colon, but then with most people that have got bloating issues and really bad skin and things like that, it's more so a microbiome balance in the small intestine. So then we want to address that with herbs and fibres and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we move all that stuff through, and then we put some good bacteria, like a diversity of good bacteria, and then we feed that diversity to encourage it to set back up a new colony. So that's probably a little bit over the top, but
no, that's okay. That's cool.
that's what we do. So it depends on what. So everyone says to me, so we've got people on a Colonic Club membership. So some people come once a month. I've got other people that have got a lazy bowel who come twice a week. Yep. It just depends on your health. So we can clean your colon out, and if you just go and eat KFC and McDonald's, then you're not going to be, untoxified for long. That's
actually what I wanted to ask on the way over here, and not saying that I have a poor diet. I feel like I eat pretty cleanly. Now, I'm actually on a meal plan now.
Good.
So I'm actually eating pretty clean. I don't know if I spoke to you last time I was here. I was on eating like a kilogram of sweet potato every day.
That's a lot
and when
of
I went
sugar.
to the new PT that I'm with now, I told him, and he was like, what the fuck?
It's a lot. It's too much.
Yeah, so what I was going to ask was, like, obviously, like, you had the health issues and you had these treatments and it helped you. Did you go on, like, a bit of a health journey? Because you do sell other supplements here to basically help everyone's well-being. Did you have, like, a bit of a mindset switch and you're like, I'm going to go full in on being healthier overall now?
Yeah, so absolutely. I mean, I think carnivore is really good if you're really wanting to fix any sort of chronic issues. I think carnivore is really good. Good quality fats, good quality protein. But also I think keto is really good. I think carbs are, overused in our society. I think there's carbs everywhere.
Yeah.
So I think we eat a lot of carbs anyway, and that's really bad for your microbiome. Obviously we want to be, I'm all about the 80-20 rule. Yep. So I think, 80% of the time, choose good foods, whole foods, good foods that actually feed the good bacteria in your gut. Get rid of all the package rubbish, Like, I'm not a nutritionist, but it's simple stuff, Get rid of all the packaged stuff and just eat real whole foods,
So when you go to the shops, do you you don't go through the aisles, you kind of stick to the outside and go to, like, the nice veggies and then the eggs and stuff like that? Yeah,
generally speaking. And I generally shop organic.
Okay, yeah.
I go to Market Organics in Brisbane and shop there, basically. They've got everything you need, really. I tend to just, think about whatever I put in my mouth, is this nourishing me or is this bad for me,
Yeah, yep.
So...
that's great.
Yeah.
And, like, because I'm always, like, interested about people who run businesses and stuff like that. So when you first decided, like, yes, I want to run a clinic that helps people in these different areas, what's the process with that? Like, what was one of the first things you did to basically start the process of building a business?
Yeah, so basically, thinking back all those years ago...
Because how long have you been open now?
We've been nearly 4 years here.
Wow, okay.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, it's amazing. I don't know, I feel like I was in so many dark places through my sickness journey that when I found something like Colonics and infrared sauna, I just felt such a massive change in my body that I just wanted to share it with the world.
Yeah.
So I was like, how do I do that? And I was like, I need to set up a wellness clinic. And because I'm very much a person that talks to everybody. What do you reckon about this? What do you think about this? What do you think I should do this? Do you think I should do that? So back in those days, I used to consult with all of my family, all of my friends. And back then I got a lot of really negative feedback.
Really? Oh.
You can't have a wellness clinic. You're not a naturopath. You never finish anything. Don't even bother starting up a business like that because you never follow through with stuff. And I was like, you know.
Got to prove them wrong now.
Well, it wasn't really even that. It was just like, I honestly feel like I'm a vessel for something greater than myself because I feel like, you know, I was given this journey, which is actually a blessing. At the time it wasn't. It was terrible and it was really dark and it was awful. But, you know, coming through this end of it now and having the clinic, it wasn't because people say to me, you prove people wrong, but it wasn't even that. It was more that I just know I've got to do this.
Yeah.
You know, so if you find something that works, you want to share it with the world. And that's my passion, I guess, around why I built the clinic. So, yeah, that's it.
Okay, no, that's beautiful. I do 30 minutes in the sauna every day. Now, this is just a normal sauna.
Yep.
How does something like that compare to an infrared sauna that you have here?
So the normal sauna is just opening the pores at the top, whereas the infrared's going in 6 centimetres and heating the body internally and then pushing the pores open and the toxins release out like that. So in an infrared sauna, generally you don't sweat for 20 minutes.
Oh, okay.
And then you start sweating the last 10 minutes and you're like, holy crap.
That's the complete opposite of like a normal sauna. Because I was in there just before I came up here and I'm sweating for like a minute or two.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so completely different. So it heats the body internally and then you sweat out. So a lot of people come in and have a sauna and go, something's wrong with the sauna, it's not working. I'm like, no, it's your detox
it hasn't
pathways.
kicked in yet. Yeah.
No, because they need to actually do it a few more times to actually open up their detox pathways.
Wow.
So generally for those sort of people, dry skin brushing's really good before they go in to have a sauna because they're opening the pores.
Yeah.
So when the pores are clogged, you imagine trying to push something out of it. You know what I mean? So you need to sort of open that pathway so that the sweat and the toxins can release and go out.
Okay, well, what the program that I'm on now, there's a supplement. His name's Brody, my PT. He's an awesome dude. Yep. But he's gotten me on a supplement that I feel like you've probably got something very similar here. It's called Gut Right.
Yeah.
And it's essentially like when he got me on it for the first time.
Is that ATP Science?
Maybe. I think, yes, it is actually. Yes, it is. Yeah. So I took that 3 times a day for 10 days.
Yeah.
And now, like, I actually, when I first had it, I hated it. Like, it was like, I would scull it. I'm like, I don't like it.
Yeah.
Now I have it every single day before I go to bed. And it's like, I just sip on it. It's actually really nice. So I can imagine you've got something similar here to that, correct?
I'll tell you what's happening there.
Okay, tell me, yes. I'm excited.
So we're so used to sweet.
Yep.
And all of those powders, and a lot with mine as well, is that they're very bitter and pungent herbs that they've formulated in there. And so when people first take them, they're very offensive and very bitter and like people just like, a lot of people say they gag, a lot of people say they vomit. And that's because we're so used to sweet in our culture. So when you start to take these herbs, it changes the palate. And then you become, it's almost like it's got its own intelligence.
Yeah.
And then you become so used to it and your palate changes. So you'll probably find that you won't be looking for as many sweet things.
No, not really, to be honest with you. Yeah, it's been pretty good.
So you probably didn't actually put 2 and 2 together with that, but that's exactly what's happening.
Yeah, because the way Brody described it is like typically the way he says is like when you first take it, you'll hate it, but as you gradually take it over time, you'll like it more. And I don't know if this is true, but he said like if you don't like it, it means it's doing its job essentially. So I thought that was really interesting. Yeah. So
is it Brody Casa?
He's from Body Beyond Brisbane. I'm not too sure what his last. He's just Brody to me.
Okay.
So in front of me, people who are watching won't be able to see this, but there's a giant chamber, and it's the cryo chamber. It's cryotherapy chamber, is that how you say it?
Correct.
Yeah. So tell me, in comparison to something like an ice bath per se, how does this compare to that?
So an ice bath is generally about minus 11 degrees, whereas a cryo chamber can go to minus 150 degrees. You don't have to be wet. It's 3 minutes.
Yeah.
You're in and out. You know, I just think it's a no-brainer, really.
Yeah. And what are the real benefits to taking something like that?
Well, it's all about pain and inflammation, so it's curbing that. It's also building up collagen and elastin in your skin. You're also getting a lymphatic flush.
Yep.
Because effectively what's happening is all the blood rushes to the core to keep the vital organs alive, and while it's all there, it becomes oxygenated blood. So by the time you step out of the chamber and you start to come back to temperature, that oxygenated blood is rushing to the extremities to keep, obviously the blood's got to get back there. It rushes back to the extremities and you get that feeling of euphoria, like you're so alive, right?
Yeah.
So that's the chemical process that's happening in the back end. So your immune system's getting flushed, your lymphatic system's getting flushed with oxygenated blood. And that's what we need for vitality, is to have oxygenated blood. That's why if you go for a run, you're getting more oxygen in your bloodstream, so you're feeling more alive. And that's why people do it, because they feel so great afterwards, right?
And if someone was to do this on a regular basis, what would you say is a good amount to do it, let's say a week?
So the guy that when I was looking at the chamber, I spoke to a guy about it, and he had kidney failure.
Yep.
So basically the doctor said, mate, you've got a couple of weeks, to go home, say goodbye to your kids.
Oh, my God.
And so he was in the army, and he got a big payout from the government because he was basically in, stage 4 kapusta. So he bought himself a chamber, and he went in it 3 times a day. And he's no longer got kidney disease. He's vibrant, young guy, amazing story, right? So it really depends on what you're trying to treat. So if someone comes in here with something like that, obviously, it's been proven with Steve that it was 3 times a day. So we've got a lady that she's 86. She comes in once a week for, she's got arthritis. And so she couldn't live without it now, because it gives her enough pain relief for the week. She's not on medication anymore. It just depends on what you're trying to treat, I guess. Okay. So a lot of people come in before they do triathlons and stuff, so they come in before and after.
Yep.
We've got tennis seeds that come in. We've got lots of the Broncos boys have been in. So it just depends on what they're trying to achieve at the time. So I would say generally, if you're trying to get rid of pain and inflammation, once a week is good. If it's for you're leading up to a bodybuilding tournament, you want to do a few, because you're going to obviously be smashing your body, so you want to recover really quickly. Yep. Just it really depends on what you're trying to address in the body, what sort of illness or disease or inflammation or whatever it may be. Yeah,
because on the website I saw you've got you call it the fire and ice package.
Yep.
Is that ideally to be done back to back, like straight away, or is there supposed to be a bit of a break? Okay.
No. So we come in and freeze the body for 3 minutes, minus 150, and then we put you in the sauna. Okay. So hot cold therapy. I don't know if you know about Wim Hof, but he's all about cold therapy. Yeah. So basically it's based on his findings. Yep. So it's just about shocking the body and oxygenating the body to release different mechanisms in the body, right? So how obviously in the sauna we're opening up the pores. So in here we're obviously curbing the pain and inflammation and flushing through the bloodstream with oxygen, and then we're going in and opening the pores and getting rid of any toxicity.
Wow.
So it works really well synergistically.
Okay. There was something I wanted to talk to you about, and I can cut this little bit out here. Do you remember, when was it? It would have been a year and a half ago. I actually reached out to you because I started running every day. Actually, I might keep this in. We'll just roll. If you want to cut it up, we can cut it up. So about a year and a half ago, I set a challenge in 2020 that I was going to run every day. Very silly idea, because I kind of didn't, take into account, I'll probably need some days off to rest. I think I got 40 or 50 days in, and I started to get, for context, I get heart palpitations very, very, not common, but I maybe a couple times a year. Mm-hmm. I noticed that when I went on my runs, I would get slight heart palpitations, and it was like, okay. But then I got to a point where I had them very softly, but it was there, and I could feel it there for 2 weeks. And I reached out to you to basically say, hey, what's going on? And the first thing you said to me was, did I take the vaccine? Did you want to talk about this?
Yeah, happy to talk about it.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So I asked you if you asked me if I'd had the vaccine. In full context, I had the 2 shots. And then you got me on. I can't remember exactly what you got me on. Was it green tea? No, it wasn't green tea. There was a couple things you got me on. But the number one thing that I did was go off caffeine, and that fixed the whole thing. It took a couple of days. I think there was probably a good 4 or 5 days where it was still there. But after that, it was pretty much golden. But something that you said to me that was very interesting was, statistically, you had a number of clients who came in that had heart issues following the vaccine.
Correct.
So, yeah, just elaborate on that a bit. So what do you think's going on there?
Well, I think what we found was from the group of naturopaths that I work with and the doctors that I work with, the talk was that there was something called a spike protein. So when you think about the blood vessel, it looks like that, nice and healthy, whereas the vaccine's got a spike protein in it, and so it's got spikes all around it.
Yep.
So when you think that, so people that have got a gluten intolerance, right, gluten's got one spike. So it spikes through the blood vessel. So if you think through the stomach lining, it's spiking through and causing that inflammatory response. So people get, you know, pain, inflammation, they've got to go to the toilet, like all that sort of stuff. So it's like damaging the inside of the blood vessel, right? So the spike protein on the vaccines, I've been told, is like a spike like that. It's got spikes all around it. And so for the first 6 weeks, the first 2 weeks is really bad apparently, but for the first 6 weeks it spikes through because it's causing that inflammatory response, right? It's causing the immune system to have a response.
Yeah.
So basically what was happening was it was spiking, and so the liver would have to come and produce some cholesterol to heal and seal it. So they reckon that the heart condition, myocarditis or pericarditis, was caused from that spike protein.
Wow, okay.
So obviously caffeine, a lot of people drink caffeine in the morning before they have breakfast, so it's taxing on their adrenals.
Yes, yep.
You know, the cortisol rises in the blood. So when you think about all of that, you just want to take the burden off the body. And that's what we do a lot in clinic. We take the burden off the body, so we clean out all of the shit.
Yeah.
And so the body can actually function on its own, because I truly believe that in the right environment, the body can heal itself.
Yep.
Like if you cut yourself, you're not fixing it. Like you don't put something on it to fix
Your body.
it. It just heals it itself, but it needs to be in the right environment, right?
Yep.
So that's my biggest thing from all of these years learning in clinic with all of my clients. If we just get the body in the right environment, they tend to heal themselves,
Yep.
you know? So, you know, I want to scream that message loud and proud everywhere, because everyone, all our doctors are training us, you need a pill, another pill, another pill. And then, so I'll tell you an interesting story. When my dad died a few years ago, he had 36 pills in a plastic bag that he'd carry around. Anyway, he opened up all the pills on the table one morning, and I said, "Dad, what are you doing?" He goes, "What do you mean? I'm taking my pills." I said, "How many pills have you got, Dad?" He goes, "Oh, 36. I just...
To be taken sporadically across the day? Or?
He took some in the morning and some at night. So, and I said to him, like, let's look at these pills, Dad. I said, "What is this pill for?" "Oh, blood pressure." "Okay. So what's this pill for, Dad?" "Oh, this pill was from something that I had that, because the blood pressure makes me have this, like I get some itchiness, and so this is for the itchiness. And then so there was another pill for this, another pill for that." And I was just sitting there scratching my head, and I was like, what is the point of all of these pills?
Yeah.
Like, it just didn't make any sense. So Dad had type 2 diabetes, he had heart condition, high blood pressure. I mean, considering he was an alcoholic his whole life and smoked cigarettes until 10 years before he died, you know, you understand the body's not in the right environment, right? So, but I found it so fascinating that Dad was on 36 pills a day. Like, it just blew my mind. So...
Did you end up finding out, I don't know if you want to go too far into it, but like, did you end up like looking into any of the pills and finding out, hey, like, you didn't need this, you didn't need that or anything? Or?
Well, yeah, we had that discussion, and I said to Dad, you need to go back to your doctor and take this plastic bag with you and say to him, what do I actually need? Because I said, this is crazy, Dad.
Yeah, that's a lot of 36.
Yeah.
That's a lot of pills.
Crazy amount of pills. So, you know, it just baffles me.
Yeah.
And, you know, most Australians are on blood pressure medication, antidepressants, anti-anxiety medication.
Yep.
You know, they're the three that are generally cholesterol-lowering medication. Like, they're generally the pills that all of Australians are on. And so what happens is, over time, then you'll get something else, and then they'll give you another pill for that, and then something else and another pill for that. So, look, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that they don't know what they're doing, but there's definitely a time and a place for medication. There's definitely a time and a place for emergency medicine. 100%. You get banged up in a car, they're going to operate and they're going to fix you, like 100 million %. But for chronic illness, for disease in the body, I just think they're so wrong. Like, poisoning the body with chemo and radiation just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
Like, get the body in the right environment. Why are you putting more, like, chemotherapy is so toxic.
Yeah.
Like, look at the hazmat suits that they put on to put it into your body. Like, does anyone stop and go, what the fuck's happening
it's fucking
here?
insane, right? It's crazy.
Fucking insane.
Yeah, no, it is.
So for me, I just think, get the body in the right environment and the body will heal itself.
Yep.
You know, so...
I definitely want there to be more of a conversation and it to be pretty well known, like antidepressants, for example, or like basically like what I'm trying to say is like, you know, exercise can be, for me personally, it's helped me a lot with a lot of different things. And I could have gone and taken, you know, X, Y, Z, but like seriously, like exercise helps me so much. And like the last week, for example, like I've struggled to go to gym and I've noticed my mood's just been shit. And I'm like, oh, it's because I don't work out. I haven't been in the sauna. I haven't been eating properly.
Yeah.
And
what happens when you don't exercise? You don't eat properly.
Yep, no,
what happens when you
it's
don't
a domino
eat properly?
effect, yeah.
When you don't eat properly, your bowels don't work as well.
Yep.
So what happens? You know, and when you're not sweating, you know, the pores are not open, so the toxins are staying in the body. The lymphatic system's not getting rid of them.
Yeah.
Because when you exercise, you actually breathe deeply, and that's moving your lymphatic system. Because you think about your cardiovascular system, it's got your heart to pump your blood. You think about your lymphatic system, it doesn't have a pump, but it's like 15 litres of fluid, which is our toxic waste system.
Yep.
It's not moving. So if you're not bouncing up and down and breathing really deeply, you're not moving your lymphatic system. So you're basically sitting around your cells in a sewer system of toxicity.
Yeah. And you see so many people, and I know people personally who like, they do have those issues. And I'm saying, well, you don't work out. I can see what you're eating. Yeah. Mind you, this is completely like contradicting what I just said about the last week I've had. But like, again, like you see people who are having these issues, but like they aren't trying. And that's what's frustrating for me. It's like, if you just did this, if you just did that, like your whole life would be different. Yeah,
exactly right. So, and look, there's some conditions, people have got some conditions that they can't, but there's always something that you can do.
Yeah.
You know, you can bounce on a rebounder. You can get a vibrating plate. You know, you can have some lymphatic compression massage just to move that lymph. So there's always something that can be done. You've just got to be proactive with your health.
Yeah,
you know?
When a few years ago, this is a little bit off subject, I did some work with this guy, and long story short, the job was incredibly stressful. Like I'm talking like he didn't like the idea that I would go to the movies and with my partner, and like he wanted me to like be very work focused and future driven. I'm like, I am, but like I love, you know, enjoying other things.
Yes.
So it put a lot of stress on me and like my mindset, and like I'd wake up in the morning just like dreading going and seeing this guy. So I can't remember the brand of it, but it's like just those stress relieving tablets just off the shelf. You can get like Coles and Woolies.
Yep.
And I noticed when I took them, I'd have a good day. And when I didn't, I would come home feeling like shit. Like I'd cry at work like that bad. And it's like, it's only like once I stop taking them and start exercising, that's why I'm so big on exercising. It's like, well, look, like I don't need these. Like this is doing better than what these pills are doing.
Yeah. So I could say something around that too, just having a conversation and opening the conversation up. So when we think about a stress response, most of us are in fear a lot of the time. If you've had some traumatic experience in your life, you've ever heard of PTSD?
Yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of people can take on that stress as PTSD and not even realise that they've got it, and not even realise that their body stays in that stress response. You know what I mean? So sometimes it's nice just to, you've got an inner body, like an inner soul, if you know that, and you've got an outer body, right? So sometimes I think it's really powerful because you take the pill and you think your brain goes, the pill's going to help me, so you feel better because you took the pill.
Yeah.
But if you just stepped out of your body, like, and you looked at yourself and you go, take a breath into that stomach where you're knotted and you're, you know, stressed and you're angry and you're sad and you don't want to be here. If you just look from it from the outside perspective and just breathe into that.
Yep.
And take a really deep breath and just say, like, I'm safe, you know, it can transform all of that in that split second.
Yeah, absolutely.
So people with anxiety get into panic attack stage because their brain just figures that there's some sort of massive emergency or massive danger in front of them. But 9 times out of 10, there's no danger.
Yep.
If they just breathe and settle down the central nervous system, things will change for them dramatically, right?
Yeah,
so I've been looking into this in the last couple of weeks, actually, because my sister had a massive panic attack the other day, and I just thought to myself, isn't that unbelievable? Just the mind is so powerful in the sense that it just goes, no, hang on a minute.
Yep.
We're in danger here, but you're actually not.
Yeah.
So those that suffer from anxiety, because I suffered from anxiety for many years. I had a lady pull a knife on me in Sydney when we first moved there. So I was a country girl, And then we moved to Sydney. We were in a place called Auburn, and was, look, I think the third night we were staying in this new place we got, and I was walking back. It was before dark. I thought I'll get back before dark, you know, so I know where I'm going. And we were walking down this really busy road, and a BMW pulled over to the side, and she come out and pulled a knife. I had a little bag. I was only 15. I had a little bag, and she was like, "Give me your bag." And I was like, "Oh, righto." So I gave it to her, but then I got so stressed by it, I couldn't find the place. Oh, no. Anyway, I just laid down on the grass. I was like, well, what am I supposed to do? I'm just going to lay here. And then I looked up and I was at the house.
Oh, wow.
It was so funny. So I was in such a stress response.
Yeah.
But from then I started, they diagnosed me with PTSD. They put me on antidepressants. I started getting panic attacks, like all of that sort of stuff, right? But what I found was that if I just breathed through it, I would get through it, and I didn't need the pills, you know. So a lot of people are walking around with trauma and PTSD, and they think it's anxiety and depression, you know. So look, some people do definitely have a chemical imbalance in the brain, don't get me wrong, but for a lot of people, you know, maybe that could work for them, you know.
Have you looked into breath work at all? Like, as in... Just to go, like, elaborate, sorry, open up the conversation even more. So about 2 years ago, I did some work with a business down at the Gold Coast called Men's Medicine. And it's actually the women's walk that we did. So they had just got me into, like, film the whole thing. And essentially what they did was they took a group of women into the forest, and they did a few different things, but the last hour and a half, I think it was like the most powerful thing, like, I've ever seen. There was like a running river, and they got all the women to lay down on their backs or anywhere that's comfortable for them. And they played some music, and then they just kept on breathing. And by the end of it, like, virtually all of them were in tears and, like, screaming. And I'm just, like, filming. It was really, I've never filmed anything like that before. So it was quite a bit awkward. I was like, oh, okay, I'll film this. I don't know if, so like, that's something I didn't even know that was a thing. So I'd be curious to know if you've had anything to do with that or looked into that at all.
Yeah, I went to an event not long ago by Life by 8. And they had breath work. So there was a cold plunge in ice water. We'd done a breath work session, and it was so powerful for me. I cried a lot too. But what happened when I cried and released my own stuff, there was a guy next to me, and I was actually helping him. It felt so weird, and I'm not that woo-woo, but I could feel his pain. Wow. And I was almost like helping to release his pain. It was so bizarre. But yeah, I think it's amazing. So I do a lot of breath work. I don't really follow any guru or anything like that, but I just try to breathe quite a few times throughout the day. One lady taught me about the Dantan breath.
I haven't heard of that
So
one.
you breathe in your nose into your belly, like into your chi, into your life force center is what she calls it. So you just breathe into your nose, and then you breathe back out into that same space.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so it's really, and so that really calms the central nervous system, I find. Obviously I've got 4 businesses. I'm busy. You know, there's always deadlines. There's always decisions to be made. And sometimes I do feel stressed, but I just always come back to breath, you know, because that's what gets you from that heightened fight or flight state and gets you back into rest and digest. So, you know, I think breath work is so powerful. I think meditation is powerful. Breath work, I think exercise is really powerful. I think obviously nutritious food is powerful. I believe food is medicine, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I haven't done breath work before, but, like, what's the science behind? I don't know if you want to call it science, but, like, what is it about the breathing that makes people so emotional?
Look, you'd probably
because I've pondered this question for so long. For 2 years, I'm like, I don't know what it is.
You'll probably have to talk to the Life by 8 team. I'd probably get them on your podcast.
Okay,
because they're going all over Australia now, doing these sessions. And honestly, so many people in the crowd cried. Like, everyone was releasing, screaming, crying. And I really let myself go, because sometimes I can feel a bit shy and a bit like this is a bit wankish, and these people are a bit weird, like. And so when I went to that session, because I was supposed to go with some other people and they didn't show up, and I anyway invited another friend who built the websites for me, and I felt very comfortable with her, and I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to run with it.
Yep.
I'm just going to do what they say, and I'm just going to be open-minded to it, and I'm just going to run with it. And honestly, it was bloody amazing.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, I cried a lot, but it wasn't a cry that it wasn't a usual cry, you know, like it wasn't a grief cry or a sad cry. It was like a real deep cry. So, I mean, I've had a lot of trauma in my life. I've had a lot of domestic violence relationships, and it felt like it was releasing a lot of that stuck sort of shit energy.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's the only way I can sort of really describe it.
The reason why I ask about it, because I think about like how I'm feeling quite often, and I've kind of clicked in the last week or so that I do feel like I've got some, I don't know how to describe it, but kind of like what you just said, like I've got something in me that's just like, I feel like I'm holding back, and I feel like I just need to get it out of my system, because it's like I deal with anxiety quite often, and truthfully it's the reason why I do the podcast, because I feel like if people hang around me, like especially my clients, I can get a little bit anxious. Like I find it quite difficult to speak sometimes.
Yep.
So it's why I want to do this. But it's like maybe there's something beyond that, like that's making me actually feel that way.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't mind looking into, you know, either like men's medicine or that business you just spoke. What are they called again? Sorry?
Life by 8.
Life by 8. Okay. I'll reach out to them and see if they would like to come on. That'd be great. Are they based in Brisbane or?
Yeah, they're Brisbane based. Yep.
Yep. And they're doing a tour on Australia.
I think I've seen on their socials they were going to Sydney or Melbourne or somewhere like that. So yeah, I think they were talking about going over Australia and doing these events.
Yeah.
You know, because they had a few people at the event. I was like shocked.
Yeah.
I was like, this is not woo woo. There's a lot of people coming to this.
Yeah,
so I feel like collectively there might be like a bit of a awakening. I guess that's what they're all calling it. But it's people that are searching for other avenues, other things that to make them feel well, because we all want to feel well and vibrant and, you know, enjoy our life. We don't want to be in pain and in suffering, which I think a lot of our health caring system is based around. You know, there's probably definitely people in there that are different to that, but you know, that's been my experience.
Yeah.
You know, I went from doctor to doctor to doctor to doctor to doctor to specialist to MRI scans to this, that and the other, and they said nothing wrong with me, you know. Yeah. So if you think about it like that, was it that I had all this stored trauma? You know, my dad was an alcoholic. My mum worked 3 jobs. She was never home, you know. There was lots of, you know, different things that happened throughout my life, you know, priest incidents, you know, domestic violence relationships. You know, I feel like stepping into this, you know, 48-year-old woman that I am now, I've had a life of fear. I've never really felt safe, you know. You know, obviously Dad being an alcoholic was the start of that. And so my early recollections, my early memories was always hiding under the bed or hiding because Dad's coming and he's drunk, you know. So if you're always in a fear response, that's why you're getting anxiety, right? So they say fear is either you're living in the future or in the past, because in the present moment, everything's all good. And so if you're always in the present moment, you're always good. Yeah. And so if we can always come back to that, but I think it's really important to explore that sort of trauma that's sort of stuck, because they say that, you know, you can have trauma stuck in your cells. I'm not a scientist, so I don't understand, but I think from me, since I've been single since my last DV relationship, I have absolutely unpacked a lot of that, and stuff come up in that breathwork session actually that I'd even forgotten about. Oh, a real traumatic experience that I had. That's actually
what I was just about to ask. So, like, was there some things that you didn't even think about?
Yes. Yeah. And I was like, shit, I'd forgotten about that. Like, and when I come home, because my daughter was supposed to come with me to that session and she didn't come. And when I explained it to her, it probably sounded a bit silly, me explaining it, because she didn't go and she didn't experience and she didn't see what I seen. So she was probably judging me a little bit, because she was like,
this Bella?
You know? Yeah.
Ah, Bella.
Naughty girl.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? So, but for me, it was like transformational, because I was like, because I thought I'd unpacked everything. I thought, yeah, I'm good now. But there was still something, like you said, niggling. And when I had that breathwork session, absolutely boom, you know, that come up. And so I've looked into that now as well, and I've healed that. I mean, I don't know if you ever really heal it, but obviously I think what you need to do is go back and heal that inner child, because we've all got the inner child, I think. Yep. I mean, that's just the work I've been working on lately, apart from the stuff we do in clinic. You know, obviously this gets the physical body feeling amazing, whereas I'm talking about the mind stuff, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think, you know, and everyone will resonate with this if they need to have that sort of healing, or it'll just spark, it'll plant a seed for them, it'll spark a conversation, it'll spark an interest, and then the right things that they need in their time. I believe it's all divine guidance. I was raised in a very religious family. Our grandfather built the church, he was the priest, and so I was brought up in a very religious family, and it wasn't until one of the bishops started kitty fiddling me that I had like a realisation that this was just actually a business, and if you're such a priest, why are you fiddling with half the women in the congregation? You sick old man. But I feel like I've always had a connection with source, God, spirit, universe, soul, whatever you want to call it, your higher self. I feel like I've always been guided, and I feel like I've always had that connection. So one of the little old ladies actually from the church come out on the step because I said to my grandma, I'm never going back there again. Like, he's a sicko. Like, I come to church to pray for, the unwell, pray for the animal kingdom, pray for my family and friends from a good space. And then this happens. Like, this is bullshit, But, going back now, it was my lesson that not to ever lose a connection, right? And that's so I don't need a church. I can just connect at any time. I'm always connected. And so if I want to, I can do some, send some prayer or some healing to somebody. We can all do that is my belief. I think it's about that connection,
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I didn't know if I should jump in at any point there. No, that's great.
Love it.
With the, just going back to the breath work really quickly, is it something that you feel like you need to do often, or is it something that you feel like you need to do it when you feel like you need to come back to it? I don't know if I asked that right.
Yeah, I think a lot of us are in a stress response most of the time. We're running, and now interest rates are rising, the cost of food's going up. So, I feel like Australians are all under stress regardless, Doesn't matter if they're loaded or got plenty of money or whatever, there's always a stress in your life. Doesn't matter what you do, who you are, whatever. But I think if you're in those spaces, you've left breath work too long.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think it should really be a practice that you incorporate into your life on the daily, whether you set an alarm on your phone, whether you just take a moment every time you go to the toilet just to have a deep breath, or at traffic lights, or whatever it may be for you, I think breath is so important because most of us are not breathing into our stomach. Most of us are just
into our lungs,
into our lung breath, and that's not optimal for health because all of the cells aren't getting oxygenation. That's why that cryo chamber works so well, because
I was just about to say, is that where the cryo comes into play?
Well, you're forced to get oxygen right, oxygenated blood right through your body, because all of the blood comes into the core, like we said, so when it goes back, it's all oxygenated. So imagine if we were oxygenated all of the time. We'd feel freaking amazing.
Yeah, it'd be amazing. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So I think breath work should be a part of everyone's life, really, on the daily.
This isn't wellness related, but it's something that made me kind of reflect on things a lot, because I was going to ask you more about, how you came to terms with a lot of things. Because I've never done the breath work. I've never done anything that really makes me feel reflective. But there was a few years ago, I went away and I did this thing. I filmed a video for a client called Compelled. Essentially what it is they take you to somewhere at the sunny coast. I tried to find out where it is. I don't know where it is. And sorry, I got something in my eye.
Yeah, right.
And they take you, you're trekking. So you go trekking into the forest, but you don't have your phone on you for 2 or 3 days. And I went away and I've spoken about this on the podcast before. But I went away and I did it, and I realized I have a massive issue with my phone. And that made me become extremely reflective of everything. And it made me think about my partner and how maybe I don't spend enough time with her and how I don't tell her I love her more and stuff like that. It was just not having your phone on you for 3 days. I don't know how you feel about this, but like ever since then, throughout the week and even throughout the day, I'll turn my phone off for a couple hours. Like if I get all my emails out in the morning and it's like 9:30, like cool, I'm going to have my phone off till 2. People are probably going to try and call me, and I will get back to them when I turn my phone back on at 2. And the feeling of just not knowing, like the feeling of knowing that my phone is off and I can't talk to anyone is incredible. I don't know if you've done it, but it is seriously like so good.
I know. Well, we're so addicted to them, right?
Yeah.
They're so addictive. And it's funny you say that because last week, my phone stopped working on, my email stopped working on my phone.
Yep.
And I've been freaking out. The customers are ringing, emailing, and I can't get back to them. And so what I've found is my central nervous system has decompressed a lot. And the other thing I've been doing is, like you say, getting off my phone, because you imagine as a small business owner these days, people message us on TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook Messenger, on Business Suite, on email. They're ringing. So for me as a business owner, it's constant. It does not stop. People message at all hours of the day and night.
Yep.
And because my biggest focus is customer service and customer experience, I'm straight onto it. And the other thing is too, with SEO and Google, if you don't respond to them and if you're not actually engaging with your audience, if you're making them wait for a certain amount of hours, Google will see you as not actually engaging with your customers, so they won't send more people to you, right? So it feels like this constant rat race of, stress. So what I found interesting in the last couple of weeks is the emails are not working on my phone, so I'm not constantly checking them, because I only really go on all of those sites for my business, right? Because all the other stuff, I'm just so exhausted by all the business stuff that I don't even care about the rest of it, right?
Yeah.
You get to a point where you might watch a couple of stories on Instagram and you're like, oh, I'm done. I've got to get rid of this thing,
Yeah.
But I found that, so on the weekends now, I'm not even checking my emails. So this morning I got on and was like, so many emails, like, oh, shit, maybe I should be checking them. But, it feels really good for me. So I understand where you're coming from. We really need to disconnect more, and we really need to get out into nature more.
I agree.
And we need to get some sunshine. We've been so conditioned with this sunscreen and, cancer and sun and blah, blah, blah. I honestly believe we need to really get back out in nature and really reconnect, and stop putting bloody toxic sunscreen on our body.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, if you're going to be in the sun for 6 hours, you're going to wear something that's non-toxic, but just, waking up to the first sun, as soon as you wake up, we're all on our phones. We need to be out getting sunshine first thing in the morning,
No, absolutely.
So I think a lot of it, we're just conditioned to be on these day and night, aren't we?
Well, what did I delete? I deleted Be Real. It's like they send it's a weird app. It's like they send a notification to anyone who's got the app at a random point throughout the day.
Right.
And you've got 2 minutes to take a picture of you and what you're doing.
Right.
And I just got so sick of it. And I'm just like, what's the point of this? Like, there's no point. And I'm like not even enjoying it. So I got rid of that. And then I got rid of Snapchat as well. So
I was going to say, sounds like Snapchat.
Yeah. Snapchat's, it's the same thing. It's pretty much. But I was like, I'm just spending too much time on it. Like the conversations that I'm having, the people on there, like I'm not saying they're bad, but like I can't be bothered with them.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm just going to get rid of that. So I only have Instagram, and that's it really. I've got Facebook, but like that's really, I barely use Facebook anymore. And I even said like if I didn't have a business, I probably wouldn't even have Instagram at this point because I kind of need
any
it.
Of them.
Yeah, because I got to send DMs to clients, or that's even how I network with some people. I was like, hey, you need a video, so. So tell me so I'm looking at a bunch of supplements at the moment.
Yep.
What am I looking at essentially?
So basically, a lot of my clients, when we first started the business, we put this detox day in. So they come in and do 4 of the treatments, and our clients were saying, we're feeling amazing. What's next, Anna? What else can we do? And that's where my next business, Leveled Up, come up. Yep. So we've created our own supplement range called Leveled Up. And it's called Leveled Up Method as our website, but it's basically high vibrational supplements that actually help you to feel well. So we've got a magnesium, like a Mag Up. We've got a lipospheric vitamin C. We've got an internal biotic, which is like a diversity of good bacteria. We've got an internal calm, which is an anxiety medication. We've got an internal cleanse, which is like a colonic at home.
Yeah,
so,
okay. Really? Wow.
You can clean the colon out. We've got a paracleanse, so for parasites, and a biotic food, which feeds that diversity of bacteria if we're trying to repopulate that organ.
Yep.
So I've put together a pack called the Internal Shred Challenge. So it's about shredding from the mouth right down to the anus.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so we're scrubbing the colon wall of anything that's stuck in there. Generally, you've got in there what's called fecoid mucoid plaque.
Yep.
So we
Not even going to try and pronounce that.
No, so we scrub that off the colon wall. We move through the parasites, the SIBO, the candida, the heavy metals.
Yep.
So those that have had the vaccine have got some heavy metal stuff. So really important to clean all of that out.
Yep.
And then we repopulate that organ with that good bacteria and we feed it to encourage it to set up a new colony. So we've been getting amazing results with that protocol. So I've put that online because we had so many messages from Melbourne, Sydney, Perth. Can you open a clinic here? Can you help us here, you know? Can you send us some stuff? So I actually started this based on that.
Yeah, right.
know.
I was just about to say, how did this all get started? That's cool. Wow.
So we've got internal shred challenge. It comes in a box. We're just waiting for the box to be printed. That's going to launch in the next couple of weeks. So that's pretty exciting. Cool. Yeah, it's really exciting. Sick. And so we've had a lot of people. So this is pretty much what our clients go through in clinic. So once they've done their bowel reset, and so if you can't get in to do colonics, we've put the internal cleanse in there. So you do that for 7 days. So that's basically your colonic at home. And then you get onto the protocol.
Wow. And how do these products compare to something average off the shelf that people can buy? It's good quality ingredients, or
no one's doing what we're doing.
Good.
Because no one's actually making sure the elimination pathway is clean and open first, and that's what happened to me. I went to all the naturopaths and everyone, and so what they were doing was putting more stuff in, but this wasn't working.
Yep.
You know, so it was like trying to push shit downhill.
Yeah.
So excuse me, it wasn't. So I was just feeling toxic because I wasn't getting rid of it. You know, so I think what the difference that we do is we clean that organ out first, and then we go through with the other stuff, and we just get amazing results.
Yeah.
Like our clients are just leveling up every day.
Oh, that's brilliant.
It's brilliant.
That's awesome.
I love what we do. It's
amazing. That's great.
Yeah.
I'll just add this in as well. Again, I feel like I keep plugging my PT. But when I first went to my PT, he asked me, like, what do I usually have for caffeine? I say, I have OxyShred.
Yeah.
And I've had it every day for like 4 days. It's an EHP Labs product.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, I've had it like nearly every day for 4 years. And then we're going down the list, and he's like, do you have a phlegm issue? I'm like, yeah, I do. And he said, I think it's because of the OxyShred. I'm like, nah, it can't be that. And he got me on another product called Metabols, I think it's called, and it's a fat burner, which is what OxyShred is, but it's got caffeine and everything like that. So I switched to that, stopped taking it, and the whole the phlegm issue's gone away, and it's been great. Yeah. And then we spoke about it a bit more, and he said that EHP Labs actually started as a marketing company, not a supplement company. Right. So they're really good at marketing their stuff and making great flavors, but the quality of the ingredients is shit. It's terrible. Yeah. And what frustrates me is that, I see all these influencers out there like promoting EHP Labs, and it's great, but I'm just like, do you know what's actually in the supplement? Because it's not very good for you. It's quite bad compared to like something else on the market. So that's why I'm asking, like, how does it compare to other ones?
So ours is all formulated from our naturopath.
Yeah. Okay. Brilliant. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
And he gets the best quality ingredients. So you find if you take our supplements, you'll notice a big difference straight away.
Yep, brilliant.
A lot of our clients, I use them myself, and a lot of our clients say that as well. So everything on my shelf is tried and tested by me. Otherwise, it doesn't make it to the shelf.
That's good.
And if we get amazing results, then that gets on the shelf. I've tried so many products, like literally hundreds of products.
For different things, obviously.
For different things, yeah, absolutely. And, my family are also testers, and I get their feedback as well. Yep. But, everything that's on here is definitely tried and tested. And we're predominantly gut health and muscle recovery, Yep. So that's the sort of clinic that we are, really.
I tripped over about 6 weeks ago at mini golf. Don't ask me why. But I landed on my wrist, and I landed pretty hard. Yep. And I'm noticing in the mornings... Mind you, I maybe should have gone to a doctor just to get it looked at. Yep. But in the mornings, like, I'll wake up and I can just feel like the pain in my wrist just there, and I can lift weights. But if I go like that to open a door, for example, it's really painful there.
Yeah, you need Collagen Active, which is a collagen which is going to help to repair.
Okay, I'm getting that after this.
Yeah, it's got an active ingredient for inflammation.
Okay. So
it's going to repair, but it's going to give you that anti-inflammatory aspect while you're healing.
Yep. Okay, cool. I was going to ask that before when we're talking about the services. I'm like, is there anything for this?
Yeah. I mean, you can go in the cryo chamber. You just have to move the gloves back a bit further so that you're getting, the benefits there.
Okay, cool. Alrighty. Is there anything else you want to speak about?
No, I think that's about it.
Cool. Alrighty. Thank you everyone for watching. This has been probably one of my favorite podcasts we've done so far. It's been great.
Thanks.
I'd actually love to have you on again sometime. We'll run it back and we'll do it again.
Yes.
But
love
yeah,
to.
everyone please come and check out Wellness at Wilston. Their services are seriously the best. They're second to none.
Yeah.
And
Love to welcome you into the clinic.
yeah, come and get healthy today. Seriously, it's the best thing you'll ever do. Thank you.
Thanks.